Welcome to Step by Step. We come here every week for a furniture tutorial, and we learn how to make over a piece of furniture step by step. Welcome to Step by Step. This week we're going to take this beautiful vanity and transform it. It's already pretty, but if you take a closer look, you'll see that there's a lot of condition issues with it. So it's really pretty, but I don't think this stuff is going to come off just with a good scrub job. So we're going to give it more than that. So we're going to be using white lightning to clean it. And then we're going to be painting with Palmetto from Dixie Belle. And then we're going to use one of the new Bells and Whistles transfers in Magnolia Garden. We may add a few other products to it. We might use some white wax and finish it out that way, but I'm going to open this transfer up so you can see what all is included in this particular design. We may or may not use all of it. It comes with a little applicator stick. Oh, this is gorgeous. I love magnolia flowers. So this is the first one, and that would make a beautiful piece of art all by itself. But this is a buildable transfer, so we can take apart all of these motifs and add to it. So I love this too. This is the cotton plant. These white flowers are just going to be so vibrant on that palmetto color. I think that's just the perfect thing to use on this. So stay tuned as we go through this transformation. And as I said, we might add a few extra things to it, but this is the basic idea that we're going to start with. We begin with a thorough cleaning with white lightning. I put mine in a sprayer bottle, spray it completely, and then just don't forget to rinse it with water. So I keep my water in a mister bottle. And for this piece, we're removing the hardware. Those are Megan's hands. She is helping me with this piece. And we're going to start by using that beautiful palmetto color. Now, I have true confession. I should have used Slick Stick. The paint did not adhere like I wanted it to. Plus, I will tell you another thing. My brush, I think, wasn't as clean as it could be, so it felt a little stiff. So all lessons learned, and I think they're all things that every painter has done, but definitely in retrospect, I would have used Slick Stick. It would have kept me from using as much paint because this piece used 3 coats of paint to cover everything up. Of course, I would have had better adhesion. Now, the paint will cure, though, so that's no worries. It'll cure in 21 to 30 days. Now, right now, I am shaking up some Moonshine Metallics, and that is in Steel Magnolia, probably my favorite of the Moonshine Metallic colors. But that is going to go on the legs of this piece. So that actually still needs shaken a little bit. Well, no, I think we re-shook it, but when we first shook it, it wasn't enough, so we shook it some more. You just want to make sure, because it has metallic particles in there, and you want to make sure that they're distributed. Again, Slick Stick would have been helpful. This piece of furniture is kind of like an MDF laminate, so really an odd finish too, kind of shiny, so. You know what they say, hindsight is 20/20, and since we're in 2021, I can really say that. I saw a lot of memes at the beginning of the year that said that, so it's really true, right? Okay, so here's the second coat. As you can see, it's going on a little bit better now, but the first coat was really a scratch coat. I'm using the Scarlet brush, and I love this brush. So I poured the paint in to a little bowl because I couldn't get my brush down in the paint jar. But I like this brush because it lets you do nice, smooth, flat surfaces, but then you can turn it sideways. As you can see, I'm getting up under the ridges and along the sides there where there's detail. So it's a really cool brush. They're currently on back order, and I cannot wait until they come back in stock. I'm going to stock up. Okay, and now we're adding a little color to the knobs. That same moonshine metallic, we're painting the knobs with that. It does a really nice job on the knobs. I think they look beautiful. Not done yet with them, but it definitely changes it. So when all the paint is dry, then I get to putting the transfer on. Now I've cut the transfer apart. The only thing I didn't keep was that big large image, and just cut everything apart and just doing a little bit of planning here to see where I want to put everything. And of course I kind of got bored with the planning stage. I did a few pieces what I thought would work, and then I decided to just get started with it. I was wanting to put a piece that had symmetry there, so I picked that piece, but I didn't really want to run it over the edges, so I ended up piecing. So this is along the side, and I love that this Magnolia transfer has cotton in it too. I think that's so cool. So giving you a better angle, I'm just using the applicator that comes in the package. I love Bells and Whistles new transfers from Dixie Belle. It's the Bells and Whistles line. There's transfers and also decoupage paper and stencils now. So I'm sure there's some more products to come, and I am definitely in anticipation of that. So I'm spending a little time on the transfers. I'm sure you've seen people put transfers on before, but if you've never applied one, also just to note, I'm finding that Dixie Belle transfers really are great. They release really great. I like them. They don't have much of a halo, like, because this is on a dark color. So the fact that it didn't really leave a halo, I was pretty impressed with that. I do like to burnish it a little bit further with my fingertips when I'm done. And sometimes I also like to flip that backing sheet off to the shiny side and use it to burnish too. I also sometimes go over my transfers with a finishing pad that Dixie Belle sells, or sometimes I even like to sand my transfers to give them a distressed look. So I love this one, and there's also a really cool little moth that I thought was just a nice little addition to this set of transfers, because it's all flowers and cotton and kind of twigs, but there was just that one moth, so I apply him on this end as well. So pretty. Just want to make sure there's no bubbles in there. So here comes the moth. I was drawn to it like a moth to a flame, or a cotton plant. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if moths hang around cotton plants, but in this case they do. Isn't that palmetto color just gorgeous? So the transfer inspired the next steps that we took with this piece. So it inspired the steel magnolia color for the legs. I was going to do gold, but then I thought, oh, I like that steel magnolia color because it has sort of a brown tone to it. I think I like to call it champagne myself, but steel magnolia is a great color, and since it's a magnolia transfer, it's just a good fit. Okay, so working on the opposite end and just kind of doing one with a stick and then another group of the magnolia flowers. We sped things up a little bit. So if you would like to purchase Dixie Belle products, the transfers, the paint, all of the great things that we're going to be showing you, there is an affiliate link in the description box. The affiliate link allows you to order it directly from Dixie Belle, but I get a little spiff on it. So that helps support my business a little bit. So here I'm taking a little extra time in this step to show you that this is a buildable transfer. So all these little elements are allowing me to create a piece here that I think is well balanced and symmetric, and it's perfect for this area. So I just keep building it. I kind of have an idea of how many flowers that I'm going to use on it. I did do a little planning. I kind of went with the curves of the piece when it came to the top, the transfers I chose for it. Okay, again, we'll speed it up here a little bit for you. But we're just building a base for this center symmetric design. So you can see I just keep trying things on. I think I tried that on and then decided to go to the opposite side. And I did. I think it was more suited to that side, as you'll see when the design is complete. It's so much fun to take these little elements and build your own design. They remind me of when I was a kid, Colorform stickers, except these ones stay. And when you see how beautiful this piece turns out, you're going to be glad they stayed where they are, I think. And right before I decide to put one in the center, I decide it needs a leaf. I just try to keep the sides balanced and symmetric. And again, I decide for another leaf before we finish it off. Twigs, actually. Sometimes it's hard to get the piece peeled back, but we managed to do it. So I'm always afraid of scratching the paint on the piece. You always want to make sure your paint is good and dry before you start applying transfers, because they won't stick. Trust me, don't ask me how I know. Ta-da! Beautiful. I love it. Okay, so now I am doing the same thing on the top of the piece. I'm centering a bunch of elements. And one thing to note is there are 7 pieces that make up this element. You know, most people will say that the design aesthetic, it's more pleasing to choose odd numbers of things. So that's the idea when you're going for symmetry with a group of items or a transfer, because you have that one odd one in the center. So things aren't even, because unless you have nothing in the middle, you can't really go for symmetry with an even number of elements. So in this case, there are 7 pieces. So while I'm transferring, I'll tell you about the exciting things that are going on at La Vintage Decor. We started a punch card in the store, so when people come in and check in on Facebook, they get a punch on a card, and when they get 10 punches, they get $10 off of a $25 order or more. So that's one cool thing. And then we're still doing the giveaway for when we reach 1,000 subscribers. It's a $500 giveaway. And we are at 607, I believe. So we're growing fast. Make sure that you visit the Instagram page, La Vintage Decor, and also just look for the giveaway post. I post it pretty frequently, so look for that and then just follow the instructions. And you'll be entered to win $500 worth of Dixie Belle and redesign and candles. It's really a cool giveaway. So we are almost done with this center grouping here, this design. We did a really cool project on Tuesday Talk with another transfer in the Bells and Whistles line. We used the Alice in Wonderland transfer and made a growth stick. Really cool. You should check that one out. All right, I think that one turned out pretty nicely too. Again, that has a lot of balance. We used the curved pieces on the end, and now I'm taking Dixie Belle's finishing pad, and I'm just going over the top and burnishing those transfers, just wiping back some of the dust. Just going over the entire piece. Here I'm taking Dixie Belle's clear coat in gloss and sealing the entire piece. I like the finish that it gave to it, but I will tell you, I wasn't happy with the top, so I ended up putting 3 coats on in total and sanding in between them. I was seeing brush strokes and I just didn't like the way it looked. I probably should have used one of the sponges, but I chose this method instead. I also put a coat on with a foam brush too, so just wasn't feeling it. So I ended up going over it with clear wax in the end. I sanded the last coat to get down any brush strokes. I took a finishing pad over that, and then I used clear wax and covered the entire piece. So it is still well sealed, but it's just those extra coats that the brush strokes were smoothed and went over it with wax. That is not the only waxing that I did on this piece. I used bronze gilding wax on the knobs. I just love the way that brought out a little extra detail on top of that Moonshine Metallic Steel Magnolia color. And gilding waxes smell amazing. Also used the gilding wax on top of the Moonshine Metallics Steel Magnolia on the legs too, just on the details. And I love the way that turned out as well. So we left the part that's smooth and shiny in its glory, and then just kind of darkened up the rest of it with the gilding wax. So now I am using white wax and just kind of bringing out the white in those transfers and going over the details. I am using the Best Dang brush. I love this brush for wax. And I'm just kind of going around it a little bit, not completely over the entire thing. And then I'm wiping back just a little bit, just kind of rubbing it in a little bit. Instead of doing the whole piece, I'm doing a section at a time so I can show you what my process is, and then I'll just work my way around the piece. So just kind of rubbing in that white wax a little bit. I love just the highlight that it left. And now I'm taking brown wax and Dixie Belle's La Petite brush, and I'm just going in the corners of the drawers and also just all of the sections of the piece. I love this part. It just gives such dimension to it. Can you just see how that makes that pop? It makes the transfer look more dramatic. I always like to go around the knobs too, the handles. It doesn't do much, a whole lot on that transfer. It doesn't show up a lot, but I know it's there. Okay, I don't really take and rub this in, but next I'm taking the Gilding Wax again in the bronze, and I'm going over those fluted details. Just kind of randomly, anywhere there's detail, just kind of touching it a little bit with my fingers and giving it a little bling. And I just think that just took it to a whole next level. While the bronze is a metallic, it has that kind of brown tone to it. Are you ready for the grand reveal? I'm very pleased with this piece. I think it's elegant. It's probably one of the most elegant things that I've ever painted. I feel like most of the time I kind of go a little funky, and this still has some of those elements in it, but I think it's all very stately and just an elegant piece. So I would love to have it in my home, and I think that a lot of people would. So hope you would too, because it's for sale. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I would appreciate it if you'd like the video, comment, share, subscribe to the channel. All that good stuff helps my channel grow, and I appreciate it. Visit us on lavintagedecor.company, and also on Instagram at lavintagedecor, and on Facebook we're Lavintage Decor Altoona. Stay well.